Let's ask Sean Spicer. He's the communications director and chief strategist for the Republican National Committee. Sean, I want to ask you about that ABC Washington Post poll. Do you believe the poll data that we're seeing showing Trump almost uniformly behind Clinton?
Well, there's no question. I think we're trailing behind, but I think that we've got the wind at our back heading into the final 2 weeks. The momentum's with Trump, the enthusiasm's with Trump, and I think that's what's going to propel us to victory in November.
Where do you see signs of that, of the momentum?
Oh, North Carolina and Florida in particular. If you look at the returns in Florida, we're up in terms of absentee ballot and absentee ballot returns by 2%. We're up over 9% in North Carolina. When you look at where we were 4 years ago in terms of early vote, we're up 20,000. We were in Iowa. We're up 40,000 in Ohio. We're up in Nevada in terms of where we were historically 4 years ago. So in each one of those areas, you look at where we were and where we are now, huge momentum in our favor. And I think, again, the interesting thing about this map versus 4 years ago are states like Pennsylvania, Iowa, Nevada, New Hampshire, states that Obama won twice. Trump's in them to win them. And I think that's a very different map than it was 4 years ago. It's actually more expansive than it was when we did this 4 years ago.
Most experts would say that Clinton has many paths to 270. Trump has a very narrow path. Would you agree with that assessment?
Sure, but I think we said that 4 years ago. We've known that all along. I mean, when you've got big states like New York and California in your column at the beginning, we've got smaller Midwest states and areas that aren't as universally Republican. So we've got to go out and win that vote. But I think, again, you've got to keep it in context. We've actually expanded the map this cycle, so they're on defense in states that Obama carried twice.
Let me ask you about what you believe is media bias. We were talking earlier this morning, and you say there's evidence of this all over the place. Isn't this just working the refs, just complaining about the coverage, sort of a way to work the refs in the final weeks of the campaign?
No, I think there's a difference between complaining and explaining. I think for viewers at home, it's what goes on and what has been going on in the media is frankly a disservice and in many cases just frankly appalling. How it's been covered, as you pointed out, hold on, because I think at the beginning you pointed out most of the reporters, if you look at their Twitter feeds, they have become unbelievable activists against Trump. They may not like him, but the degree to which they're helping Hillary is unbelievable. Look at the Twitter feeds of most of these journalists, whether it's the New York Times or Politico. Look at some of the revelations that have come out over the last couple of weeks that have come through these leaked emails in terms of the collusion that has gone on in some of these reporters cheering on Hillary Clinton, or they're providing them copies of their story to edit or to review. It is unbelievable. And then the idea that folks in the media go, oh, you're just playing the refs. That's not playing the refs. That's calling out fouls. That's calling strikes and balls. When people in the media who are supposed to be reporting the facts start becoming activists for a particular candidate, that deserves to be called out. You look at panels that get put on different networks. It's one anti-Trump person after another, and they put on a Republican, but they're against Trump, and so they call it a balanced panel. When was the last time a panel had a Democrat that wasn't for Hillary on it? I haven't seen one this cycle. There's
a lot more unity in the Democratic Party than there is in the Republican Party, though. There are a lot of anti-Trump Republicans.
There's a lot of, but I bumped into plenty of Bernie Sanders supporters, millennials, minorities who are lifelong Democrats that aren't going to vote for Hillary Clinton, yet we never hear or see about them. Every story and every panel that exists on cable television.
Well, let me play what Donald Trump said about WikiLeaks, because I really want to put this in context about what you're saying is collusion. Here's something that Trump said on the campaign trail last night.
WikiLeaks shows the media colluding and conspiring directly with the Clinton campaign. Emails even show the Clintons boasting gleefully about very friendly and malleable reporters.
Here's where I take issue with that. Don't you think if there was a hack by a foreign government or by anybody into the Trump campaign or into the RNC, you'd find a lot of emails from very friendly reporters? I mean, Sean, I've sent you some pretty friendly emails over the years.
You sent me some friendly emails like happy birthday, how are you, good job, but I don't get debate questions. I haven't gotten into edit, stories from folks. I mean, again, you look at there's a difference between a friendly email and collusion.
So the people are saying collusion by citing a few examples. They're picking and choosing examples of stupid journalistic
behavior. But I don't have a few examples.
And claiming it's a conspiracy.
No, but I think, again, look at, there's several. Look at the amount of time that you guys give Evan McMullin and Gary Johnson versus Jill Stein. Jill Stein's been non-existent, and she's still at 5 and 6%. You guys don't want to cover people on the left the way you do on the right. You want to make sure that more people are given time.
But that's an interesting point, especially about Evan McMullin. Right, he's really only competitive in one state right now, in Utah. So you're saying the media is tilting the playing field by boosting up Trump's opponents?
You boost up the opponents. You put on people on panels. You know, no one's asked NBC, how did that Access Hollywood tape that only NBC had copies of it? How did that actually get out? Has anybody asked NBC that? Has anybody
Sean,
asked
you know we've all been
whether or
asking.
not...
We've been begging for information about that. You know that.
Where's the story, Brian? Where is the story on that? Where is the story? Every time that Donald Trump makes a comment, every Republican up and down the ballot, including here at the RNC, is asked to comment on Donald Trump's thing. When was the last time someone was asked on the record to comment about Hillary Clinton's disclosures, whether it was how she handled classified information, whether or not that they believe she's fit to serve because of how she handled classified information? When was the question about how risky she is as a candidate, whether it's her failed Russian reset, how she handled Libya, how she handled Syria? There's questions about Hillary Clinton's fitness for office that never get asked of any other Democrat. And I think it's a very tilted thing. That's not complaining. That's not working the ref. That's making sure people understand when they tune in their television or go online to a mainstream media source, whether it's the New York Times or Politico, that they need to understand that they are getting a very biased, one-sided, activist, journalist view of this race.
There's a lot to think about here, and I appreciate you being here this morning. Thank you, Sean.